Hey, what's up guys? Now I should say sorry to you first because I should have made this video a lot earlier before Mother's Day because it's connected to my mom, to my parents. And you might have guessed that I'm trying to tell you the first smartphone for your parents. Someone who has never used a smartphone, who's been using a feature phone, and that transition can be daunting as well as can be very rewarding if you choose the smartphone, the gadget wisely. In this video, we're gonna check that. Now my mom, asked me for a phone, of course, on the Mother's Day, and well, it was kind of unusual quest for me because generally people ask me the best smartphone in a price bracket or the maximum features that phone can pack in that particular price bracket. But here the case is a little different. Here you don't have to find the best phone, you'll have to find a phone that best fit the experience and the desires of the parents of someone who is using the smartphone for the first time. We're gonna check some factors, and on the basis of which I've actually zeroed in on this particular smartphone that I sent to my mom, and you can probably take help from those factors. Now, personal choices can be very subjective. The feature phone that your parents have might have been using might be different than the one my mom's using. So depending on that, also the smartphone that you're gonna gift them might be different. So the factors can be common at some point, but the phone that I sent to my mom can be vastly different. So if your factors gonna zero in on another model, please feel free to get that. But here I'll show you the one that I sent to my mom. I sent my mom the Motorola Moto E 2nd generation 3G version. It cost about 7,000. It's not very costly. Now I'm gonna discuss all the factors that I considered before I zeroed in on this particular phone. The first point, and one of the most important thing, is that the experience of your parents or of the one who is using a smartphone for the first time in his or her life should be incremental and not radical. Now, one main reason for that, or one main thing in that, is the screen size or the size of the phone overall, because the feature phones are not as big as today's smartphones. Today's smartphones go up to 6 inches of displays, 5.5 inch, 5 inch, those kind, but the feature phones went like this. So you have to see that the first smartphone that you're gifting should be a little smaller in size, so that again, as I say, the experience can be only incremental and they can still feel comfortable with the form factor and the display. That's one of the reasons I chose this only 4.5 inch screen. So this is not bigger than the old Nokia phone that my mom's been using, and also on the 4.5 inch screen, and the body is also such that it will fit comfortably in her hand. She does not have to sit for 3 days to just to get used to the form factor, does not fit in her hand and those kind of stuff. So the size and the display is important, because ultimately it's the handling experience that's gonna let them give the first steps towards the smartphone world. The second factor is a rugged enough body. Now you'll agree with me that your parents are used to throwing around the feature phones, keeping the feature phone everywhere, because they didn't have to worry about a big touch screen and a plastic body that these smartphones bring up. The feature phones used to be really strong build wise. So I chose the Moto E actually because of its very rugged body, and specifically the second version. You cannot remove the battery, alright, but you cannot remove the back flap as well. You can only remove the sides around here. So you can change the color of the sides, to match your mood. But overall, this is a solid piece of brick. And that again, my mom would feel very comfortable handling this, because she can handle it just like, or throw around just like she did with her feature phone. The third factor I considered is the stock Android. This guy runs Lollipop and it's stock, so there is no skin over there, so no complication, no lag whatsoever. Plus, because it's stock Lollipop, you have continuous updates coming, and Motorola promises a timely update to all the Android stock ROMs. Plus, because you do not have a custom ROM on top of Lollipop, you do not have to wait extra for the manufacturer to make that ROM on top of Android. Now, why does that matter to someone who's using a smartphone for the first time? It's mainly because of that no complication thing. This Google's own thing, Android's owned by Google. I did not want to, arrest the experience to one particular manufacturer. So that is the reason I actually went for a phone that runs Lollipop stock. Another very important factor to consider is that the user interface experience should not be too daunting, that your parents are sitting with the phone for 3 days just to learn what icon does what, or what button clicks the photo, or what does what, everything. So this guy, the user interface of the Moto E in particular, is very simple. Just for example, take the camera. There are no buttons, just touch it, will take a still, just drag it from one side and you'll get the settings, drag it from one side and you'll get the front camera and videos. Everything is very simple. Plus the Lollipop update has a big plus point, which I personally do not like, but then I found out it actually was very helpful for my mom, is that whenever you go to the menu, you get a white background. Now you'll agree with me that your parents are at a stage in life where their eyesight are not the best. Having a white background and not a translucent background really help noticing the icons and other things. So that was one of the very important things in the user interface. Motorola Alert, Assist and Migrate. I absolutely love these three in-house tools from Motorola, and they help my mom a great deal. Now Motorola Migrate actually helped her migrate all the contacts and SMS even from her old feature phone. The Motorola Assist actually let her make the phone a little quiet and darker in the times where, let's say, she is sleeping in the afternoon, or maybe she is reading something. And last but not least, the Motorola Alert was really cool, because she could have this particular numbers saved, my dad's numbers, my numbers saved, where in case of emergency, if she needs us, let's say she's not at home, she's somewhere and she suddenly needs assistance, suddenly needs us, that she could actually send a message, she could actually tell her where she was at that point of time. This is really important. This was one of the main criteria I was searching for in a phone to give to my parents. Well, you don't get a lot of FM radio phones these days, do you? You get radios where you need to connect to the internet, but the Moto E comes with an FM radio where you can just plug in your earphones and then switch on the speaker, and you can listen to the FM radio without internet all day long. And the speaker output is really important, because my mom likes to listen to music, likes to listen to radio whenever she's cooking or whenever she's, let's say, doing some household work. At that time, she does not need to listen to it via the earphones. So she could just plug in the earphones, keep it on the table, switch on the speaker, and she could listen to the radio and without internet. Another thing I already set up before I sent it to my mom was that I went to the accessibility menu here and I made the text larger. As I told you before, that at least my parents are quite old and they're at a stage in life where their eyesight are not the best, and make the text larger really help them read this. Now I didn't want her to go fish around in the accessibility menu to find out what how to remedy this. So I already made the text larger for her. I could actually increase the contrast also, but then that was making some of the fonts a little awkward. But if you think, even if you need that, then you can actually make the text high contrast so that they are still easier on eye. One of the things that was really important for me, but then wasn't totally into the Motorola Moto E, some other phones are better than this, is the case of the Indian language support. Now I saw that the keyboard here did not support many Indian language. In fact, I only found a Google English or Hindi keyboard out here. So my mom did not need Hindi, my mom need another Indian language, which I did not find here, but there are other phones which has almost all the languages, like 13 languages, 14 languages, Indian language. So that's another factor you need to consider before getting her a smartphone, if she or your dad is not very well versed in English. But at least if she speaks or writes in Hindi, you can have Hindi on the Moto E. And last but not least is the battery life. Well, the battery life has to be long enough for your parents to not having to go to the charging point every time it goes off. Because they would not want it. They're like too much of hassle for them, and you want as little hassle as possible to your parents. So the Motorola Moto Ace battery is not exquisite, but in our review video we found out that it actually gives between 10 to 10.5 hours of battery life, which I thought was quite good enough for my parents. Now you cannot remove the battery, so your mom cannot carry an extra battery, but I did not need that part of the hassle as well. 10 hours of battery life was quite good enough. She could at least charge the phone once a day, that's okay, but then she didn't have to charge it multiple times. So 10 hours of battery is good enough for this particular phone, mainly because it has a small display and not a great resolution, not a great deal of ROM and background app running that could drain the battery and those kind of stuff. So even battery life was good enough. So then those are the factors I considered before I zeroed in on the Motorola Moto E. What do you think about those factors, and do you think there could be additions in that, or do you think there I probably would have been good eliminating some of the options? Please give your comment in the section, and I'll go and I'll read those. I'll try to discuss it out there. But if this helped you, then I would really feel myself lucky, because it's a great, it's a great pleasure, it's a great satisfaction to be able to give your parents a gift at the first place. Obviously that's you always do, but then to give them a new smartphone world that's kind of a great, radically different than the feature phone they have been using, in itself is a great pleasure. And the smartphone world is amazing. You could do WhatsApp, now she could video chat with me and my wife on the move, those kind of stuff, touch screen. All this experience are amazing, and I'm happy that my mom has finally migrated to it, and she is already a very happy girl. Now if you like this video, please hit the like button, ask anything related to the Moto E or related to the topic that we discussed today, and please subscribe to our channel and share the video to share the love.